All right, what's up, Scavengers? Welcome to the Six Scale Scavengers podcast, episode 36, the adult collector podcast. No kids here, where we talk about Hot Toys, Marvel, Star Wars, and all kinds of other goodness. I am Bryan, and I am joined, as always, with my good friends, Chris and TC. Guys, we got so much trailer goodness lately, I don't even know what to do with myself.
Yeah, I guess all the movie studios want to drop those trailers to get everybody excited for the movies coming up soon and into next year. Just so many awesome movies coming our way.
Yeah, I just kept waiting in that Ghostbusters trailer for a classic original song, Ghostbusters theme song, but never came. But I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah, you had quite
Bill
the
Murray.
story, TC. Yeah, you had quite the story of why you had the affinity for that song for very different reasons than Chris and I did.
Yeah, well, Chris and Bryan are a little older than me, so
Just a little bit.
they're more of the original viewers for Ghostbusters. But when I was younger, in like the fourth or fifth grade, when we would go to lunch, we had to basically sit in silence for half the lunch period, just I guess to calm kids down. And they would always play classical music, but then like randomly, like every other Friday, they would play this one song. It was the Ghostbusters theme song. So I always have an affinity for that song. So
Too funny.
I'll spare you guys my attempt at a karaoke here. So we do have a couple trailers we want to talk about. Obviously, Ghostbusters is the one that got me the most jazzed up, although the Black Widow one looks good. So guys, as you can see, the cover art here, I see him out in the chat right now with Red Wolf, and fittingly, this is a photo that he took. I saw it on Instagram, and I had to reach out to him. Red Wolf has been a longtime listener, both the podcast and the Scavengers Assemble, and I saw it, and I was like, man, I can't top that. I know, Christopher James Letty and all the other, right up there with all the other Hot Toys bloggers too. But, I reached out to him, he graciously accepted. And guys, it came in a kind of a good idea, just kind of like going forward, a way for us to involve the community. Obviously, we want to center the photos around, what happens to be the feature figure review, but it's one way to kind of get people included in the show. So obviously this is the first attempt in doing this. And, so follow Red Wolf on Instagram. I want to say it's Red Wolf 130 might be his screen name. I don't know if he's out there and can drop that. Definitely a good follow there on Instagram.
Yeah, lots of great photography skills. Quite a bit more skilled than myself. But we look forward to this opportunity to incorporate all those, talented photographers out there and to get some images of these great Hot Toys figures. And it's just nice to bring them into the mix, for the shows and stuff like that.
yeah, Red Wolf he's a really good photographer. I see him post on the Sideshow Freaks boards often, and photos are always amazing. A lot of great action scenes that he poses. I mean, photographs, and it's all good.
So, just going forward, if you're in our Facebook group, usually on Instagram, we'll usually drop in advance what our feature figure review is going to be. Definitely send your submissions. One of the best way to do it, if you're not in the Facebook group, is just email us, sixscalescavengers@gmail.com. It's a good way to get the original image. And then I would be remiss if I didn't mention that our own Roy was the one that did the background. And he does such a good job with all of the consistency of our cover art is just, it makes it look professional, because we certainly are very far from being professional here.
We do what we can, but we're,
We need some help.
I know, we need help.
So speaking of help, so obviously our good friend Zach with Collecting Weekly is he embraces the meme culture. I find him hilarious. I don't know if his wife thinks he's hilarious or not, but I think he's hilarious. And so I asked for artwork, and he obliged. it didn't necessarily meet the criteria for what we're looking for, but I thought everybody would get a kick out of this before we get going. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, you just have to use your imagination. But without further ado,
Very nice.
there is Mr. Bryan Fontaine as Captain America. The smile isn't quite as good as Chris Evans, but
Got some good teeth.
yeah, probably whiter than my own are. And then
Awesome.
this is probably his best work right here. Christopher James Letty as Thanos as he's about to do the snap wrong because he doesn't have the stones, but still I don't know, that looks like it actually could have occurred in the film.
Love it.
This one, this is what he was kind of going for with the Mark 7 armor, but we see Chris was the stunt double for Robert Downey Jr.
That's right.
And then this is one of my favorites.
Nice.
We've got TC
like
here
one.
as Thorbowski and looking very svelte.
Hey, what can I say? Now I'm definitely getting this figure.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Cameo.
you packed on the pounds for this role, man. And you did a good job, losing it afterwards.
I think I still need to lose. I need to lose some good weight.
Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? So anyways, guys, before we get into news, Chris, what was out of all those trailers? I mean, we had Black Widow, Wonder Woman 84, James Bond, No Time to Die, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and obviously we're getting bombarded here with Star Wars TV trailers and stuff.
Well, obviously with The Rise of Skywalker coming up next week, that one's, you can feel it because it's so close. But I've tried to stay away from a lot of the TV spots for that, trying not to dig too deep on social media with, there's the posts coming left and right, like you were saying. But I'm a big Daniel Craig James Bond fan, and that movie looks just epic. But really, that Ghostbusters trailer, the nostalgia feels got me when that Ecto-1 went screaming out into that field, and the siren going, and I really want to see how it's incorporated. I just love the idea of the story. I know it doesn't have the comedic feel, and Paul Rudd, he'll bring it, and I want to see those original Ghostbusters, that are still with us, bring back those characters. And I'm, again, all those movies we listed, Black Widow, Wonder Woman 84, we got a lot of good movies coming our way, and it's just a great time to be a fan of all this pop culture, and it's just endless, and I love it. What do you guys? How about you guys?
I don't know. I kind of like the Wonder Woman 84 trailer. Yeah. I don't know. Gal Gadot's queen, so it's kind of
yeah.
She
I don't
reigns
think
supreme even over ScarJo.
I think Steve would agree with you on that one.
No, but it looked cool. I like that retro feel.
Mm-hmm.
It was, DC. Obviously, everyone knows they have not done the best work, but when it comes to Wonder Woman, they usually do pretty good.
Totally. It looks, I love that 80s. There's something about the 80s. I grew up, during that time, and it sounds like the music is going to have some different versions of 80s tunes that we love. But I'm really excited for that one too. The first movie was really good, and hopefully they just build on it.
Yeah, and the chat's blowing up right now. Everybody's also equally excited about all the stuff out there too. All right, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and I'm going to be a good host this time out. And we are going to talk about the Mark 7 just released. You guys have it in hand. My UPS driver apparently decided to relocate from Atlanta to New Hampshire, and they did not deliver my figure to a UPS store access point today. It was unavailable. All I can think of, guys, is like the line may have been too long at the counter, and the guy just is like, screw this, I'm not dropping the figure off. Do I love the fact that my really expensive Iron Man figure is going loaded on and off trucks and stuff? Not so much, but there's not really much I can do about it. So that will be, you guys have it in hand. Chris, you literally just opened it. TC, I believe you got it yesterday or the day before. So now we're going to have a definitive take on it, but we did want to talk about it. Our topic for this episode, we're going to talk the last, this is probably the fourth episodes in a row where we're kind of talking just more tips and stuff, but inspired by our friend Robert. He had an interesting take on WW BFD, what would Brian Fontaine do, and kind of came up with this little checklist that I thought he was probably didn't think much of it at the time, but I was like, you know what, it's simple enough, perfect enough. I think it can help out Scavengers, and as part of my collection update, I kind of have my evolving budgeting and kind of figuring out my plan. And not that I have all the answers, but hopefully what I'm going to share will help some out. I know the artist formerly known as Gare Bear was very interested in that take. So we'll talk about that. And obviously we have some news to do, but even better, guys, before we get to news, we have another giveaway. So our community is just the freaking best. I mean, there's no other way to put it. So a gracious donation, one of our Facebook group members, longtime listeners, reached out and said, hey, I've got a duplicate of something that just came in. I'd love to be able to give it to you guys, to give it away, to a listener. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Everybody here on the screen can see, and our Facebook members got a early preview. It's the Hot Toys Cosbaby, the Mandalorian, and IG-11 set that recently just came out. I don't believe you can get this stateside yet. And this is going to be just for our Facebook members, are part of our private group. So there was a secret question that we asked of everybody in our Facebook group today. So TC, it is 9:45. I'd say for the next 5 minutes, we're going to allow people to submit their answers. So right now, Scavengers, I want everybody in either the YouTube or Facebook chat to answer the secret question. We're going to try to track down the names and do our best to go ahead and get a list. And we're going to do a random drawing and go from there. So have at it, Scavengers. All right. And I guess I didn't scroll down far enough, but it looks like we already got some people. Zach just popped in and he missed his Photoshop. Zach, you'll have to listen back in a little bit because I'm not going to go ahead and do that again. Once was enough for that awesomeness. So, all right. So for another 4 minutes, we're going to take submissions and go from there. All right, guys, let's talk about news. And last night, so what happened last episode, guys? We literally got done recording, and within a minute of us actually ending the broadcast, I'm like, son of a biscuit. Like there was a Facebook drop, and it was what, Chris? We ended at like 11:30 Eastern time. Yeah. And on the Facebook group, they dropped the Heavy Mandalorian. So we jumped. We had all of our recording stuff set up. We jumped in our private Facebook group, and then we continued to talk about the Heavy Mandalorian for about 5 minutes. So technically, we've already talked about it. So that will help us on our news conversation.
I know, it's funny how that worked. Usually, it's after we're done and we find out in the morning that we've missed an opportunity to talk about the figure. But yeah, it was surprising, because that episode had just aired and the Black Series figure had just come out, and it's really pretty cool that Hot Toys went with this Heavy Infantry Mandalorian. it's just a badass design. I mean, he has got heft. He's got, he's got the jetpack. He's got the, Gatling gun almost. And yeah,
I think he get that back to base. That's all I got to say.
Right? I know. Look at that thing. We've got images on the screen of the figure, and we've got the the little skirt thing, and in the back, give all the extra detail. Great color contrast.
Vibroblade.
Yeah, he's got
this. This was stealing. I guess it's kind of a spoiler. This was recreating that shot from Chapter 3. And I don't know. This just looks awesome. I kind of broke my pre-order rule for this one, guys, as I'll talk about in the collection update, because I wanted to grab it from Big Bad Toy Store and wanted to make sure I secured that sweet $4 shipping before they sold out, even though I had a deposit on it. I mean, the hype for the Mandalorian show, we have not talked about it much. I know the Assemble has quite a bit. But we're trying to avoid spoilers on that, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, he's just it's gonna look great on the on a shelf with the Mando's original look and IG-11, and hopefully we get more figures from this show. We've already seen characters that would make for great Hot Toys figures, and I think they would be missing out on lots of sales if they didn't make some of those figures, and I'm sure our listeners can think of a handful of them. But yeah, I'm loving it.
I mean, he's also had some pretty good moments in the series so far, so that adds to it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, guys, we're gonna cut off the speaking of the Mandalorian, we're gonna cut off the take. So now that we have not going to allow any other future entries, obviously this needs to be a Facebook group member, so you're going to have to reach out to us through the Facebook group. So if we end up picking you and you can't contact us, that means you're ineligible. We'll have to pick somebody else. So maybe TC, just in case, maybe we should pick our runner-up winner just in case too.
Yeah.
How many did we get?
7.
All right, let me while I go ahead and grab a random number generator.
Sorry, one more.
8. Okay. So Chris, anything else about this figure here?
No, I just think some people speculate that this guy might have lower numbers produced, and a lot of people think they're already predicting that this might be a figure that either sells out on pre-order or might be pretty, not rare, but like harder to find once it sells out. So if you guys want it, I would definitely jump on a pre-order. I haven't yet, but he's on my wish list. So yeah, I think that between him and Mando and the other figures, you're going to have a kick-ass display.
All right. So before, and that's going to go for 281. I think it's next October when one's going to drop. So, all right, before we get going here, because I want to make sure we can go ahead and pick our winner. So I've got a nifty little random number generator here. We've got 1 through 8. TC, you got a list going there?
I do.
All right, Chris, I'm going to ask you to tell me how many rolls we're going to do. Don't do too many. How about 2?
Yeah. We'll do 2. How about that?
Okay, so we're going to do on the second one. So the first one's just going to be to randomize it. The second one will be the winner. The third one will be our runner-up, just in case. So here we go. All right, numbers 1 through 8. We're going to generate once. This is the test run. So hopefully we're at number 2. All right, this is going to be our winner. And my computer did not want to go. Okay, there we go. It just worked. So number 7.
Mike Collins.
Mike,
Oh,
all right,
snap.
and I think he's obviously in our group, so I'm not even going to bother picking a random one unless he doesn't want if he doesn't want the figure. I know he won something from Tashi earlier this year too, so that guy is pretty dang lucky. But just in case, just TC, you don't have to say the name out loud, but just keep that name in the back of our pocket just in case.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so congrats, Mike, and thank you so much to our member with that donation. I mean, it's stuff like that that really makes what we do awesome. I mean, we're just three average guys. We collect. We don't have infinite money to go out and buy all this stuff. We're making really hard decisions, and we just like hanging out. We like hanging out with our community. And the fact that people enjoy that and find value in it. To me, Chris, we've 36 episodes. I'm sure we've mentioned something similar to that on at least 30 of these episodes in total. So it doesn't get old.
It's great, and we always love giving back to the community here. And it's just we're getting to that time of year, and it's always nice to give back, to
spread some joy.
Oh yeah.
All right, and as I'm struggling mightily here because
it's all right.
All right, here we go. Maybe not. Trying to get us to look at the Iron Spider. All right, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So another drop that we got, and I believe you guys already talked about it on the Assemble, but I haven't talked about it, is the SpiderMan Iron Spider suit from the PS4 video game. And diehard Marvel Comics fans, because I can speak English, diehard Marvel Comics readers will recognize this as, I believe, Chris, this was the Iron Spider suit that was gifted to Peter Parker from Iron Man during the first Civil War run. And I'd have to go back and look at it, but somebody pointed it out. I want to say it was maybe Chris in the group had said, like, hey, is that an error? Why is there only 3 metal arms? And I don't ever recall it being like that. So, I mean, I guess it's right. But that kind of iconic scene, and I think I have it coming up here, where he's kind of this right here. Was, I believe, one of the covers of one of the comics there.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm pretty sure that's the way it is in the comics. I have Civil War #1, and I can't remember if it was in that issue or if it was later on in that run. But a lot of people love this look. It looks pretty cool. I mean, it's very bold red and gold, and different knee joints than previous releases. He's got a jointed knee, a visible joint, and I don't know. I like it. It's cool, but it's not really something that's gonna fit into my collection. I'm kind of picking and choosing with these Spideys and choosing less and less as these releases come out. What do you guys think?
This is I said it on the Assemble. It's easier for me to pass on this one just because they continue to drop these Spideys. It just makes it not really possible for me to go and get all the different ones. So if I can't get the majority of them, probably going to steer clear of most of them just because it's a rabbit hole I'm not willing to go down. But I do like this figure. I like the knee joints. I know some people don't. I like them because I like being able to articulate a Hot Toys figure at least a little bit, and those knee joints allow you to, and they can kind of get away with it because of the armor. And I also like the mask. I think it's really sleek.
It's kind of funny, as I've been going through the PS4 game, I keep trying to finish that up so I can start Fallen Order. I started Fallen Order, and I decided I really stink at video games. So this Spider-Man game is one of my favorite video games of all time. I'm trying to complete 100% on all the missions. I'm getting close. And ironically, I just unlocked the suit earlier this week, and it's pretty bad A on in a game, and you can actually it's got like thrusters on the bottom of the seat. I don't know if they try to Photoshop any of that stuff in, but kind of some of the points that you guys already made that I really like is the fact that they made like a neck joint, the fact that TCU mentioned that they're going to articulate the knees. The suit material looks like it'll hold up a little bit more. When I first saw this, and I thought like, oh gosh, we don't need another Iron Spider suit part 2. This one looks like it would be. One thing we talk about often, guys, is the fact that Hot Toys continues to try to get better. Are they the best company out there? Not necessarily, but they're willing to try different things. So is this one going to hit the mark on all points? Probably not, but at least they're listening. They're learning from missteps like they've done in the past. Like I really would love to be able to articulate the Iron Spider suit that we already got. That's one of my favorite suits that they've done in this manner.
Yeah, and we're we talked about it on the assemble. That suit is potentially going to have age issues at the seams and that sort of thing, and the material itself having either being creased or sticking to itself in dynamic poses and that sort of thing. But it is good to see Hot Toys do different things and push the bar and see what works, and let's just hope it keeps going that way. But I mean, I don't know how many more Spider-Man figures they can put out. I mean, how many is that this year? It's got to be
at least 3 or 4.
1 billion.
The movie Iron Spider, then they had the advanced suit, movie promo, then obviously this negative suit, and then now they're releasing the Iron Spider. So
yeah,
I have a feeling it's going to be one of those things where they're going to continue to, I guess, go to the well, but they're going to have to space it out. I don't think they can continue to just pump them out and then release them a month later.
Yeah.
And this one's going to have a pretty quick turnaround. It's going to be April that we're going to see that for 250 in that video game line. I believe it was VGM 38, if I remember off the top of my head. So who knows? There's those. I think they've done really a lot of the major ones that we've seen. I know a lot of people are big fans of the Spider-Man 2099 suit. There's actually 2 different versions in the game. There's like a blue and a white version. I don't know which one fans would like more, but again, I think that they're doing some of these relatively obscure suits, guys, to kind of hit that comic demographic that they really can't get at otherwise, instead of making sure they do these video games because they have the license, they don't have the comics license. So giving us some of these really iconic looks, Scarlet Spider, the Iron Spider suit, the and
negative suit.
I guess the negative suit to a certain extent, but yeah, like the advanced suit and stuff. So, it's definitely, it's not a bad thing for Spider-Man fans. And just as much as the 3 of us are probably not getting that, it's on like a must-have list for a lot of our listeners. I was just like in our group chat here was just blowing up with people saying it's like one of their most anticipated figures of next year. So I love the fact that people have that level of enthusiasm for something like that. Just because it's not for us doesn't mean that it's not for other people. Guys, we got to talk about these stupid first order troopers.
These are not for anybody.
These, I literally don't. Well, I will say on one group I saw, somebody mentioned like they got to stop releasing these things because I need to save money. So I think that guy was probably going to get these, but that's about it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll say I kind of like the tri-barrel gun here for the Jet Trooper. We saw this in the trailer. And we've got like that dumbfounded look of Poe saying like, they fly now? Well, obviously there's been jet troopers and space troopers and stuff, but maybe the first order troopers haven't flown. I don't know. It's just a stupid throwaway line. I mean, we got to remember too, we take Star Wars way too seriously. It's a kid's movie for the most part. So let it be fun. I mean, if you watch any of the prequel stuff, some of the dialogue is cringeworthy. I think it's so cheesy, it's great. So, but yeah, these we'll cycle through. I will say though, because we're going to talk about this jet trooper, and then they essentially did a repaint with a Sith jet trooper, which is this. We're looking at the white version here, which is the First Order version. Now the red one is essentially a repaint of the same exact thing with a different gun. The one thing I will say nice about this, guys, because I have to say something nice about it, is the price tag, $220 for each. It's
fine.
I guess
it's fine.
I mean, yeah.
I wonder if this is something that Disney is making Hot Toys create. I don't know if it's Hot Toys' decision, because it just seems odd, because the sequel trilogy has had a history of poor selling troopers, and these are not nearly what Rogue One troopers are.
No
Solo
way.
troopers, what could be in the Mandalorian. These are not in the same class, and they're not going to sell.
No. And the thing is, it's like they're in the vintage collection for 3 3/4 inch. They're in the 6-inch Black Series. You're seeing these troopers, along with the regular versions, be either re-released, or it's got to be something like that, because I don't know, not a great choice for figures.
What are these little nose pieces? Because I don't remember seeing those on the Black Series figures.
Yeah.
It looks like a pig or something. I don't know. It's just like, instead of a duck look, it looks like he looks like a pig.
Yeah, maybe for high altitude flight or something. Some exhaust or
I'm trying to legitimize it, Chris.
It is a really odd design.
Yeah. I mean, these are going to have a low run, and when they sell out, if they sell out, because the First Order troopers have not sold out, they're not going to be that desirable, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah,
Could be
say
wrong, but
retailers beware. Do not
yeah,
order loads and loads of these.
Yeah, especially if you're a smaller retailer and you don't want to carry inventory. Buy some more Iron Man figures.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, we could be completely wrong. Maybe these things do something so cool in the movie that people are going to want it. I mean, people wanted the patrol trooper from Solo, and it was in the film for 5 seconds.
Yeah, but that's got a classic design. Just harkens back to
it's true. Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm certainly not advocating for any of these whatsoever. We do have it on the screen here too, with the Sith, the Sith trooper here, same price tag, $220. They're trying to make it look really badass. How it could carry 2 rifles is beyond me. I'm not a military expert by any means, but I just don't see that being feasible. I don't know.
And the one thing about these 2 figures is, why are there regular, what's up with the First Order troopers and what's up with the Sith troopers, and why? Yeah, I have questions, but they're not really related. they're more story wise. Yeah, I don't know.
Mario's making a prediction that these will be the new short troopers. I think it's a little tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And then obviously Mark is not only listening to what we're saying, but he's very intently watching and looking at the facial expressions of our one TC with when these sell out. But
what's with these rubber suits too? They don't even have that going for them. They don't even have articulation. All this stuff isn't even going to be able to. You're not going to be able to do half these poses. It's all a rubber suit underneath.
I think that's really why, quick aside, I love the Rogue One troopers, because they don't have that. The Death Troopers do. Anybody that has a Death Trooper will know exactly what I'm talking about with the limited articulation, but I don't know. It looks very similar to the joints for the Death Troopers. So buyer beware there as well. Good point, guys. What else do we got here, Chris? some of the dredges of the rest of the news here.
I know, right? Not a whole lot going on. Well, I think TC, did you make this point?
Yeah, so Hot Toys opened a new store in Japan. Pardon the poor enunciation, but it's Toy Sapiens Nagoya. It's a two-story. It looks like it's a two-story showroom, and it looks like they're housing a lot of different merchandise, but a lot of new release figures, and then also figures that are in. They showcase figures that are in pre-order status. It's cool. I think this is their. I think this is their second official store in Japan. I could be wrong on that. I think they have an original Toy Sapiens in another city. But yeah, it's great to see that they're expanding. It would be really cool to see if they could ever do that stateside. I know it would probably start in LA, but
Yeah.
The fact that they're expanding, shows that things are going really well, and we like to see that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would love to be able to go to one of those stores and just see what it's all about. I might have to see if some friends in Japan, in Tokyo, can maybe stop over there for me. And it would be awesome if we had some listeners from Japan and that sort of thing to post pictures and that sort of thing to group and whatnot. But yeah, the other thing going on is there seems to be some eBay buck offers continuing to hit some people's accounts, not mine, unfortunately, but yeah. But 10% offers have been people have said that they've gotten them. I know Zach from Collecting Weekly tried hooking me up, but it was not valid for me. Totally targeted, random, still trying to figure out what that's all about, if it's because you buy a lot or maybe you haven't bought in a long time. But I see, the thing is, I get a lot of seller offers because I sell so much, and it might be the opposite. I just don't buy enough on eBay. But man, Bryan knows all too well that if you time those 10% eBay bucks purchases, it'll pay off like 3 months later. And good luck to anyone out there.
Yeah, I just looked again. I think I've added a couple dollars here and there since then, but like $356 at the beginning of January. So that's going to be a R2D2 and hopefully half of another figure. I'm still. I know most of the people here will like this too, but I'm hoping that Krennic drops soon, so that I can get that from Tim Cent.
I think everyone's looking forward to that.
I digress.
Yeah.
I need it for my Rogue One collection. As soon as he drops, then my collection immediately becomes incomplete.
Yep. Got to complete the set, man.
Got to keep it going. So, and then final, there was a lot of chatter on our private group, I believe yesterday, about Boba Fett. I think we've talked about it being low stock before, but now the deluxe is low stock as well. That one still has free shipping. And Chris, those crummy $25 coupons that people kept getting actually can be used from that figure.
Oh yeah.
And especially for some of our overseas listeners, especially those over the pond, that the free shipping from Sideshow globally is a big win for them, because one of the reasons why a lot of people overseas don't order from Sideshow, I don't know why they would. It's not really that good. We don't even like it, and we live in the same country, is the fact that they get hit with import taxes and stuff. So that free shipping kind of offsets that a little bit, but it still can be cost advantageous if you have a coupon and then the free shipping to kind of make it a little bit cheaper than they would be able to get locally.
Yeah, it is tough for those overseas trying to get some of the figures. The import taxes and stuff really can make those prices jump up substantially. And then you're talking shipping on top of those. Any way they, collectors can find a deal to save a bit, I would jump on it.
Yeah, that one's been in stock for a while. But I think now the fact that the regular boba is completely gone everywhere, this one's gonna go. I think there's still some available on Big Bad Toy Store for the deluxe. So if you still want it and the sideshow runs out, it'll still be around, but it's gonna go somewhat soon.
All that Mando hype, as our buddy
Yeah.
Mark would attest to.
Yeah,
Totally.
I bought into a little bit, but as I'll talk about a little bit, I'm kind of easing my way out a little bit more here. So, all right, guys, let's talk as we shift here. Let's talk about collection update. And although we record these every 2 weeks, I can't for the life of me remember who went first last time. So I'm just randomly going to tell Chris, you're going first.
Yay, I win. Okay, I went crazy. Because I am crazy, but I've been selling an insane amount of stuff on eBay. So I had a lot of funds to go towards the collection. So I'll start off with our feature figure review, which is the Mark 7, just unboxed minutes before we started recording. I also got my War Machine Mark 4. And I also just unboxed that. I can't, between these two figures, I mean, they are just such awesome figures. I cannot wait to be able to have these guys on display and really get them all set up and that sort of thing. But the War Machine, I just love the look of that. I don't have the Mark 1. Actually, I don't have any other War Machine. I sold Mark II and Iron Patriot. So this is going to be my representation for quite some time. And yeah, I highly recommend that figure. Get him while he's in stock, because he's in stock pretty much everywhere. And then after that, got some Star Wars figures. I got Yoda, Attack of the Clones, and I got another Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper. Had a lot of rewards from Sideshow built up, plus a $25 coupon, plus combined shipping. So I ordered those two figures together to try to maximize that deal. I also got Deluxe Emperor and 2 Royal Guards.
Wow, you went nuts. We've been talking almost daily. I didn't realize you had gotten that many figures.
Yeah. So those I haven't been able to open yet. But I'm looking forward to that. Because I eventually want to have that throne room scene. I want to have the Royal Guards. I want to have Luke. Whenever they make a Return of the Jedi Vader, I'd love to have, a scene in a dream world situation. I'd love to have Yost's Jazz Ink dioramas throne room backdrop, but probably not going to happen. Never say never, though. And then 2 heavy hitters.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. I did a live unboxing before the assemble of 1 Rogue One Shore Trooper, which again is a figure that I'm digging, and had to have it. Bryan sent me a link. Well, sent our group chat a link, and I had some funds in the PayPal that would cover it. So, yep, I spent it right away. And
scale enabler.
Oh my god, you guys are horrible. And then I also got a K2SO from Rogue One.
It's unbelievable. This is rivaling Bryan.
This is I was gonna say that one episode where I kept rattling off Rogue One figures. This, I think, tops it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I won't go into any other figures that haven't arrived yet, but so anyway, that's those are the figures that I got in hand. Also something a little bit different, kind of like how Bryan has his Shore Trooper collection. I've got the Rebel Commando collection, but I also focus on Ahsoka Tano, and she's just one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. right behind Luke. And so I ended up, Steve posted on Instagram that there was a limited edition lithograph featuring Ahsoka on it. And I really like the artwork. It's called Unyielding, and it's by artist Brent Woodside. And it's Ahsoka in her Rebels attire, and it's got Vader on it. It's just really, really pretty cool. So I had to have that before it goes out of stock, because anything Ahsoka that goes out I know, Mark. I'm sweating too. I've got Friday off, so I'm hopefully gonna do maybe a multi-figure live unboxing, probably midday while nobody else is home. Yeah. So the Ahsoka stuff, I love that. I've got a bunch of prints that I got at Celebration, so I'm gonna get some stuff framed up eventually. And also, one other cool thing happened. I kind of connected with a pretty prominent Ahsoka focus collector. He's got Ahsoka Tano's Life and Prides of Nexu on social media. He runs those two social media accounts. His name's Mike, and we've been going back and forth, and he's been taking his collection out of storage, and he's been posting a lot of stuff on Instagram and Twitter, and he's got a lot of followers. It's just really cool to see what he's got. And I was showing him some of my variations of Ahsoka carded figures and that sort of thing. And so he was like, "Hey, what's your address?" And I'm like, "Why?" So he's like, "I got some stuff for you." And he sends me his another limited edition poster of Ahsoka, and he has had the good fortune of meeting Ashley Eckstein multiple times, because he's part of the 501st. And so he was like, "Yeah, Ashley has one of these posters too." And he gave me a bunch of his little his swag bag of Ahsoka things. So yeah, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. It's always great the way we connect as collectors. And it's just reaching out to one person and making one comment on one of their posts can, lead to, these great connections. And it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of my deal this time around.
No, that's awesome. I know we chat, like I said, we chat almost daily. I didn't even know about all that stuff. So it's great. And it further illustrated by the point you said, like, listen to like one comment and stuff. Like, I mean, that's how this podcast has grown. Word of mouth, like, we're not experts, and, somebody will search for like a Hot Toys podcast or something, and they find us, and then all of a sudden, they're going back. We've had a couple people say they've gone through the back catalog, and it's funny because you can see people are like, they'll get to a certain point where we started talking about creating the Facebook group, and then they'll join, and they only know about Chris and I, and then TC and everybody else joined up much later there. So it's like I said, it's great. This community is awesome. All right, TC, not to be outdone, but what do you got?
Well, I'm not quite as action-packed as Chris, but I'll say the boring stuff first. I'm selling my Black Panther figure. Not that it's a bad figure. I don't know. I just don't enjoy it as much as some other ones. So because of that, I don't feel a reason to keep it. And funds can be used for something else, which they will be. But I picked up the Mark 7 and then a second Mark 7. So I bought two Mark 7s. And I did this through Steven's Collectibles and More. So Zach from Collecting Weekly often has them, or not often, but occasionally has them on his show. And he operates a comic shop in Texas. And he just got his Hot Toys, not license, but the ability to carry distribution, I guess, license to carry Hot Toys, and so I contacted him, and he does payment plans. He ships for free, and depending on what state you live in, you might or might not have tax. So really, there's some savings to be had, and the dude's a great guy. I mean, his customer service is top notch, and he double boxes, or he double boxed my figures, and he got them out really quickly once they hit his store, and yeah, so I got the Mark 7, and just want to say this: the Mark 7 is the best Iron Man figure in my opinion, hands down, no questions. If you're debating to get one Iron Man figure, get the Mark 7. Do not get the Mark 2. Do not get the Mark 3. Do not get the Mark 4. Get the Mark 7. The engineering is incredible. It's not perfect, but it's darn near close. And here's a picture of it right now for those watching. I decked mine out in the heavy armor mode. It's got the missiles on the thighs, rockets on the arms, missiles on the shoulders, and it's got the
incredible
Robert Downey Jr. head sculpt, which not only
I thought that was Christopher James Letty in there.
Well, close.
Sure.
But not only is this the mask battle damage, but the entire helmet is, which is a nice touch. So, like I said, we'll go over the review in greater depth. We'll go over the figure, and it's not a perfect figure. No figure is perfect. There are some things I'm not too happy about, but I mean, look, these are minor things. This is the overall design of the figures is just absolutely top notch, and I don't care that Hot Toys built the pod mode. That feature, to me, it doesn't detract from anything else on the figure when it's not in pod mode. So, great figure, and that's my collection update.
Yeah, we're not even going to try to compete with Chris here. So I might try to compete with Chris in terms of airtime about talking about what I've been up to.
Blowing smoke here.
Yeah. So last time I talked about, resting like Thanos did after snapping away a good chunk of my collection. I realized I needed to snap away even more. So I did a lot of deep thinking in between our last episode. Yeah. Just as Roy would say, just get rid of those NRDs here. Get them out the door. No. So I've talked about on multiple podcasts before. My display space is I've got a really small L-shaped room on the second floor of my house, and I only have 4 DTOFs, and that's really where I can store figures. I can, obviously people know that you can cram in 4 or 5 figures onto a shelf, but it can start to look crowded. And I started looking at my pre-orders, and then I started looking at my budget, and then I just had this epiphany that I realized I was creating my own problems for myself all the time, where I had to not constantly, but I'm sure people have noticed I'd have to go through, like, every couple months I'd have to sell off a few figures. Well, part of it was for space, part of it was changing focus and stuff like that. But I realized that the money I was setting aside budget-wise was almost 1 figure per month, which is kind of absurd when you really kind of think about it. Obviously, if an Iron Man figure costs more, I'd have to set aside, but you're still talking quite a bit. And I just said, all right, I'm gonna snap a good chunk of my budget away, and I'm gonna try to do something that'll make it challenging for me to stick to it, but then also kind of solve the space issues I have. Because then if I negate it, basically what I did, because I'm telling the story horribly now, it's not great podcast talk here, but I took my monthly budget and I sliced it by 2/3. So I'm only setting aside 1/3 of what I was before, and the amount of figures I'll be able to get on an annual basis with just money set aside budget wise is only gonna be about 4 or 5 figures for a year. And that's going to sound really crazy, but what will happen is it will force me to either A, really want the figure, or B, decide that if I really want it, I have to make space budget-wise and display space-wise to sell something else, so I can really kind of stick to that budget. We talk about often using that your collection as a currency. I'm going to have to really walk the talk, and so far I've been able to stick to it. So I'll kind of give everybody updates as I kind of go along here, but really, it's not that it's not something I couldn't do budget wise, but it was more for budget space. So, if 4D toffs, you're talking maybe 3 per shelf. I mean, you're still talking, you basically, you want to be, I want to be less than 60 figures at any given time. And I think right now, as we'll talk about with some of the ones that I've sold, I think I'm at like 53. So I have some space for the year now, and we'll see how it goes. I'm sure I'm going to do something stupid and blow it all out of the water in a month or so, but that's at least the plan now.
It's a good plan. I mean, that's a lot of figures, man. You got a lot of stuff.
So we'll see. That is still a lot of stuff. And the thing is too, I was talking to Roy about it, because Roy's sold some figures off recently, and he was able to add some older ones he didn't have yet. And as much grief as I get from Steve and everybody else for my constant changing my mind and all that other stuff, it takes, you got to make some hard choices here. It's not like you can display like hundreds and thousands of figures or have tons of money to be able to do kind of whatever you want. So, all right. So bearing the lead here. So I did mention it earlier. I did pre-order the Heavy Infantry Mandalorian. I'm just so over the moon for the new series, and I had to have that figure. The only reason I pre-ordered it, because I knew I was going to get it anyways, and I wanted to get the $4 shipping from Big Bad Toy Store. So I kind of break my own rule there. But with the remaining pre-orders I have out through, I believe the last pre-order I still had was for the battle damaged Iron Man Mark 85, kind of accounting for that within my budget, forecasted, out that far. So pour out a little, I'm not going to actually pour out my water here, but pour out one for the fallen NRDs. Not all of these had NRDs, but some of them did. It's money already spent. Obviously, I don't like losing money, but I also didn't want to spend future money that I wasn't going to be setting aside. So here we go. Big deep breath. All right, the following figures got Axe for pre-order, Endgame Thor, Endgame Hulk, Iron Patriot Endgame, Black Widow Endgame, Hawkeye Endgame, and Mark 85 Endgame.
Yikes.
I love Marvel. I have a lot of the Infinity War figures already, and maybe down the line I'll decide to sell the current versions of Infinity War ones for the Endgame. But for right now, they're figures I have, and the other figures I don't. There's a lot more stuff I'd almost kind of rather have. So it seemed a little extreme, but when I was really budging out month after month, and I was trying to make those really tough decisions of the figures I really want versus I'd kind of like to have, and then finding the display space amongst that, they just didn't make the cut. So on top of that, sold some figures. I sold my Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. I sold my Groot from Infinity War, and I sold my parted out SpiderMan Homecoming. I know you guys really like the suit. It's just the figure for me hasn't really done it. I have 2 other Spider-Man. I have the Iron Spider suit, and I have Scarlet Spider. I'm okay with that, currently right now in my collection being my Spider-Man. Even further, anybody that follows my eBay store out there, I've got a couple other figures listed. So TC, like you, I also have Black Panther listed, Shuri's out there, and also my concept art Captain America. I figure 3 Captain Americas is plenty. A lot of what it is just kind of trying to diversify, to continue that diversification and making sure that I've got really strong figures in my collection here.
Yeah, I mean, Hot Toys, that's one of the strong suits. Like, one of the great things about collecting Hot Toys, there's so many different figures, so it's nice to diversify. I mean, obviously, Iron Man collections of 40, 50 figures is awesome too, but it's nice to see some just differences, not only within Marvel, but beyond the different Marvel franchise into Star Wars and even DC.
Hallelujah.
I'm just now seeing all the comments. Yeah, this probably, as Mark usually has one of the last words on a lot of the things we say, we need to have it in memorandum at the end of the year for all the canceled NRDs.
So here's the thing, though. If you cancel your NRDs, there's a chance the figure comes out late. Then you call Sideshow and say, look, this figure's late. I want my NRD back. They'll give it to you.
It's possible. You just reminded me though, TC. So I had one of the figures I did have that I canceled was with Big Bad Toy Store. And again, I think it was for the Hulk, and I just didn't want to spend. I mean, obviously there was an NRD, but like the cost of getting the figure itself was going to be, a lot. And with my new budget, I mean, it was going to be like 3 or 4 months worth of setting aside. I'm like, I like Hulk, but I don't like Hulk that much. The rep I talked to, I had to email them directly because unlike Sideshow where you can just cancel it and they'd be like, "Are you sure? You know you're not going to get your NRD back." You actually have to email Big Bad Toy Store's customer service email box. And I figured, I'm like, oh, somebody get back to me in like 4 or 5 days. I'd say within an hour and a half, somebody got back to me, and it was like one of the nicest emails. They were like, "Oh, we're sorry, you didn't want to, continue to get the figure." They're like, "If you change your mind before the figure releases, since you've already paid the NRD, we will give you credit for it. If you decide you still want the figure, we'll give you that credit, and you can basically pay what you're going to anyways." Why can't Sideshow do that?
Right?
Why? Because they don't have to.
Yeah.
It just made me so mad.
It is disappointing. Like, there's a couple things that Sideshow does. No, that, and then their shipping practices really do bother me. So I'll just leave it at that.
Ugh.
All right, I'll get off my soapbox here for a moment.
Yep.
Anyways,
Cool.
Big Bad Toy Store greater than Sideshow in my book.
Mm-hmm. Well,
all right, guys, let's get rolling. We're already an hour here. Sorry to cut you off, Chris.
No, that's fine.
Keep it
going. Keep
the show rolling. So I mentioned that at the top, we won't spend a ton of time on this because we just kind of did a little bit with our collection update. But our buddy Robert had a comment on one of our posts, and I just thought it was really simple. It was kind of a little tongue in cheek too, but I thought it actually had some pretty good advice. So I thought we would we'd go ahead and share that, and hopefully maybe these couple little tips will help scavengers kind of making those same choices. I feel like we continue to, at least I'll speak for myself, guys. I feel like I continue to evolve and learn more, learn from mistakes. I'm going to continue to make mistakes. We're not perfect. I don't try to be perfect, and my interest in what I want to collect changes. So obviously anybody live here can see Robert's post from our Facebook group here, but it goes to say, he's like, "I am so glad you share this roller coaster ride with us. When I think about a pre-order or selling, I think BFD. What would BF do? Brian Fontaine do? That take on that infamous bumper sticker. Do I need this figure? Does it have an NRD? Will I regret selling it? And do I have the space for it?" A lot of those same things there's some of those things that I did. If you kind of have that moment of clarity before you go ahead and click the order button or click the pre-order button, or you're on eBay or you're on a Facebook group, and sometimes there's like a deal that's too good to be true, or you have some maniac out there like me that's listing things for way less than they should be. Just because it's a good deal doesn't mean you should jump on it.
Yeah, because I mean, price alone shouldn't be why you should buy a figure. It should be, is there a connection? Would you like the design a lot? Some kind of personal connection to you really makes it last in your collection. I feel like in my past, if there's not that, and I just get it just because I think it's cool or it's a great deal, it often goes pretty quickly, and then you kind of shoot yourself in the foot a little bit, because oftentimes if you sell something quickly right after, you're not going to be able to get 100% of what you paid for it. So it makes it, that's the downside of collecting. But yeah.
Yeah, all great things to think about when you're looking at your collection, when you're looking to make a purchase, when you're looking to sell. I love these comments. Yeah, the artist formerly known as is in a lot of shock here over Bryan's cuts. They were tough decisions, I know. I've got a few of those figures on order, actually. Yeah, and it is tough, especially this. The space is a big deal, because these figures are meant to admire,
they need to breathe.
and
They need.
Yeah,
You
they
don't
need,
want to just have shoulder to shoulder like.
and like four,
And
you know,
especially
four
something
deep
that's
and
yeah.
you know, cramming, you know, 8 figures into, you know, one DTOF shelf and that sort of thing. You want to make them, you want to showcase the figure for what it is, and I think, you know, I just think it's important stuff to think about with these figures. I mean, yeah, I'm one to talk with, you know, what I just picked up, but for me, I mean, my budget is changing drastically within a month and a half with, you know, when we move into the new house, hopefully. So, you know, I'm making the most of what I can with my available budget now, so that way I can
Hmm.
have these figures when I can display them. So, you know, it's a little bit different for me with that situation, and everybody's situation is different, you know, financially, space wise, um, you know, what they like and that sort of thing. So use these tips, you know, for your situation. And I think, um, it really narrows it down. It narrows it down to what you want your collection to be. Because you don't have to have every figure from an entire line. Like, you don't have to have every Infinity War figure, every Endgame, every Rogue One, you know, every DC, you know, figure. It's, um,
Where's Cyborg?
Yeah, Brian, you don't have to have every Rogue One figure. Christmas is around the corner. I'm trying to tell you, you can send Death Troopers down south.
yes, yes. You can throw one, you know, over to the
I need a
Coast
stocking stuffer.
area. Uh,
So I just wanted to sorry to cut you guys
No.
off. I just saw we had a bunch of people just jump into our feed. PJ the Paradox Nerd jumped in.
Mhm.
So what's going on, PJ? Actually, PJ Squared's out there. We have our other PJ out there too.
Yeah.
So a lot of great chat out there.
And I'd like to hear more people's stories and their collection, you know, the path that they've taken and that sort of thing. And I'd like to see more posts on the, you know, the Facebook group and just, you know, tell us some of your story with some images of your collections and stuff like that. We've been getting a lot of new members and showing off some of their collections, and it's great to see what's going on. But, you know, give us an idea of what your collecting story is, and it's just, I think it helps people understand that, you know, maybe the stuff that they're going through, you're not the only one, and that sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure when the time comes when I finally have my display space set up, and I'll realize there might be 15 figures that don't really fit my collection anymore. But I also, you know, and with the Hot Toys, you can recoup your money pretty easily when you sell these figures. At least come close to what you paid, or depending on the figure, like a Mark V or, you know, something like that, where you can, you know, make a decent amount back on your figures. So yeah, I love it. You know, I'm gonna keep my that little list on my desk and look at it and think about it, and just make sure make sure
Hold on, I
I'm
just saw a comment here from one of our newer members, Ian. And speaking of Ian, he reached out to me a week or two ago with just like this epic, like, hey, what about this? So once his care package arrives, I will definitely give him a shout out, and we'll talk about it, you know, on the podcast for certain. But he said, listening to your guys' collection updates make me want to feel like I need therapy more. Well, this is what this is. As Steve always says, it's a group therapy session for a bunch of broke Star Wars and Marvels collectors. It's exactly what this is. You know, I think real TC, you've made this point so many different times. I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but, you know, collecting is very solitary. You're kind of alone. You're the only one collecting. It's fun to collect in a group and share those things. But one thing too that I've noticed that we've done a little bit differently lately without even realizing it is we still talk about all the figures coming out, but if our lack of enthusiasm for some of them, I think it's more just for our own benefit, but maybe for everybody else's. It's not like get completely amped up for every new thing, so people feel like I got to get caught up in this wave of excitement and this rush of peer pressure and stuff to go run out and do that. Believe it or not, like we're some of the biggest Hot Toys fans out there, and they do great work. They not saying they can't do wrong, and not saying that they're like you said, TC, no figure is perfect, but I think you have to kind of keep that. I think there's a level of enthusiasm where you can appreciate it without feeling like everything is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Or feeling like you need every figure that comes out. So
right. Also, this I don't know. There's only so much room and for all my interests, so to say. So I love Iron Man, I love Rogue One, like a lot of Star Wars, but I don't love everything about Star Wars. I love the Avengers movies, so I like those figures and those lines, but I like those a lot more than I like some of the individual movies. So when I start looking at things with how many figures do I really want in a collection, you start to kind of break down what you really want and what you don't really need anymore. And things can change over time. Figure that you might have thought you might never sell one day, 2 years down the road, you might consider selling just because either there's a remake or there's just other figures from other franchises you like better. So it's always changing. I don't think you can say, yeah, I'm never going to ever sell this one figure. I don't think anything's ever final. I think you have to adapt to your personal situation, and then also just what you enjoy. And that's how I've always rolled.
Or you might have a friend that might be really interested in, say, like the Blitzway Ghostbusters set, and might be trying to sell a bunch of stuff to see if they can make it work. But that
could be it too. That could be it too. Now, I wonder who that is.
Yeah. So let's all bet on whether or not that is included in someone's collection update next time around.
The Ecto 1 is heading to New Hampshire.
Oh yeah, it's driving there right now.
I know Cletus was giving me some grief about, hey, once there's a Funko Pop movie trailer out, I'll hit you up, because you seem to go with what's there. But yeah, just a quick aside, with Ghostbusters, obviously, like Chris mentioned, there so much nostalgia there. That was one of my main things as a kid. I had the Firehouse and the Ecto 1 and all the toys. And I was telling you guys, one of my favorite memories I used to have with my grandfather was it was kind of a big deal. He'd pick me up on Saturdays, and we'd go to the town dump, which is kind of a thing. I don't know if at least in New Hampshire in the 80s, at least. I don't know if it's across the transfer station, but we'd always stop at a Cumberland Farms, which is a convenience store. And he always let me pick out, be able to get a fruit punch or something like that. But he also let me always pick a pack of cards. So at the time, I used to always get a pack of Ghostbuster 2 cards, and they'd have that really awful bubblegum, the baseball card bubblegum in there. And just those, that was so cool. So, there's a lot of, it's funny how collecting and stuff can just invoke some of those. I hadn't thought about that in so long. My grandfather's been gone for well over a decade now. But it's just that's another whole level of collecting that we don't talk about enough, about just some of those memories that some of these things can have. So, but sorry to get all emotional.
No, it is those feelings that you want at least part of your collection to bring about, those great memories and those experiences in life, and I think that's awesome. And it's and you don't need you don't need the Ecto, the 6 scale Ecto 1 to bring that out,
No. I
but
also don't need the figures necessarily to have the memories either, but
no, but it's great. And yeah, I hope I hope that works out for you if that's your ultimate goal. And yeah, just thankful that the figures don't come with that awful gum that you're forced to eat because it's sitting right at you. Oh man, I've seen people take that gum out of packs and eat it now, and it's just like the nastiest.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I think you gave me a bunch of like Return of the
Oh,
Jedi
yeah.
cards a year or two ago, and I was like, I'm not gonna tempt fate.
So all those vintage cards, those gum sticks would go in baseball packs too, and football packs. But now there are sets of baseball cards that Topps makes where they're variants where the back of the card is stained. Very
Oh
interesting.
my god, that is.
And they're often desirable because they're short printed.
Oh my god.
I know you're the baseball card expert out of the three of us. So
Yeah, I'm a little out of touch, but yeah, I still remember some of that stuff.
That's pretty funny. Pretty funny.
All right, guys. Let's talk quickly about the feature figure review, the Mark 7 TC. You kind of already gave a lot of your thoughts. I'm gonna put Red Wolf's picture up again. The last couple episodes we've talked about, we've had pictures of the Mark 7 of like the blogger photos and stuff. So we'll keep this up for the remainder of the episode here. But so we do have the Mark 7 just released, at least stateside here recently. So guys, this was originally, stats. So obviously this is from Avengers 1. This was the infamous MMS 500 D27, original retail price $433. As TC has already alluded to, it might be the best Iron Man. So I'm anticipating a really good score here, despite maybe some shortfalls. The original pre-order date with this was July 26, 2018. The Hong Kong release was October 28, 2019. So my math's really bad. What is that, 15 months or so, 16 months?
Sure.
So obvious, not the longest lead time. I think this is originally, I think it came out in Hong Kong when it was supposed to. I think the sideshow was a little delayed versus what we originally were expecting. So that's kind of the short and skinny of it. So TC, just any additional thoughts, Chris, anything you'd like to add about the figure?
Yeah. So some of the shortcomings are the swap out pieces. So on its shoulders, I'll just show as I have here. So if you're watching the podcast, you can see the shoulder missile armor. The missiles on the shoulders, they're very loose. So like if you're moving around the shoulder pad or moving around the figure, they could pop off, and it kind of can get a little bit annoying. Swapping out the rockets on the wrists is also a little bit challenging. But the thing comes packed out. You can have literally 4 different looks. You can have the standard look, you can have the battle damage look, the armored up look, and then finally you can actually transfer it into a pod. Some people say, well, why'd they even bother doing that? It's no one's going to display it like that. And then also it caused some things design wise to potentially, I guess, compromise the design. I guess like what I just mentioned, the missiles on the shoulders, the way they attach is a little bit loose, and I think some of the back flaps as well can be a little loose. But as far as looks go, and this thing is just it's damn near perfect. I mean, the proportions are just absolutely incredible. There's like no creaks with this figure. So if anyone has the Mark IV and the Mark VI, anytime you touch it or move it, you can like hear the plastic kind of not crack, but it you can just hear it. This one is smooth. The feet are smooth. They don't make any noise. It's just, the thing is just absolutely solid. It kind of looks kind of like a slightly slimmer War Machine Mark III. It's got a lot of the same proportions of that figure. It's not the same, obviously, but it's like its cousin almost. I can't say enough good things. I mean, the paint on the sculpt is amazing. They went above and beyond with the battle damage on the helmet. Now, I will say the battle damage on the alternative chest plate is a little bit soft. It's a little bit gummy. It's not perfect. And also, it would be nice to have more battle damage around the figure, but it's got weathering
Chris is
all
showing
over
all
the
the
place.
part that this thing looks packed out to the max here.
It is. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
got weathering all over and realistic weathering, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's MMS 500 for a reason. They're not going to let us down, and they definitely didn't. Like I said, if you want one Iron Man, get this one.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, like I said, I haven't had that much time to mess around with it, but this is just a great looking Iron Man figure. I've got a second, TC with, if you kind of want an iconic Iron Man, figure, I would go for this one because it's got that, it definitely represents the movie version of this, of the character and the suit very well. The
paint's
weathering,
phenomenal.
oh, it's
The
just
matte paint job. It's smooth.
yeah, and there's so much detail you can see in Red Wolf's picture here. All the little areas where there's damage or distressed paint and that sort of thing. It's not like, you've just got like the chest plate and the face plate are battle damaged and that sort of thing. The whole thing is very consistent, has a very consistent look. And I've been looking forward to this figure for some time. I think I can't remember when I pre-ordered this, but it was last year, or it wasn't a dopo for me, but I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
It brought back the original Mark III had the mechanism on the hip where you could extend out this little like a side flap, and it's where they would house missiles. But they got rid of that feature for pretty much all the diecast Iron Man figures. None of them, you can never pull any of them out anymore. But this one you can kind of push in and out, and it'll reveal the missiles along the hips.
Yep.
So it's a
Those
good
discs.
feature. I mean, you can do. I mean, the shoulders have the what is it? The shoulder pads you can move out and in depending on how you want to position the arms. So that's nice too. It's not on a spring, so I definitely appreciate that. The arc reactors, detailed to the max. Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got one of our fellow scavengers representing
Mario.
right here.
Mario posted this, so this is kind of twofold. I want to talk about just obviously, this is a great shot here too, and representing the air quotes the brand. So one thing that I did, Chris, I've talked about it for a long time. Well, not a long time, but I kept meaning to do a new sticker order. So I ordered something up with Sticker Mule, and they sent it right out within like a day or two. It's crazy. So I do have a bunch of stickers on hand. I'll be getting some of those out to Chris as well. I sent out some already of people I already had addresses, but problem I had is I ran out of stamps and I also ran out of envelopes. So once I rectify both of those, we'll be reaching out to some of our more prominent group members that are posting a lot and get them out some stickers and stuff like that. They turned out really good, and so great. Glad to see Mario here getting not only a good shot of the Mark 7, but also holding the 6.0 Scavenger sticker here.
Love it. Thanks, Mario.
So a lot of people gave.
All right.
Just real quick, Brian. A lot of people gave the Mark 50 flack because the legs. You can kind of see where the leg. There's a gap between the leg and the hip. This one really kind of hides it in pretty well. It's tough to see it. Just again, they improved on that as well.
Yep, the engineering is pretty dang good with this one. So the
So-
engineers and the artists putting this one together really did an awesome job.
All right, guys, we will we'll go and do our review here. Chris, I don't know if you feel confident enough to be able to give a score or not, but we'll give you the chance anyways. I think we should go with just looking at the accessory parts here.
Nice. I don't have that version, the exclusive with the little pod. That's nice.
Yeah, let's go with the mini suit pod hologram on
There you
how
go.
many mini suit pod hologram. I had to look at the notes again here one more time.
That's
So TC, you've had it the longest. We'll start with you.
Okay. You know, any of the gripes I have are so minor. You know, the essence of Iron Man's captured. It's Iron Man from Avengers 1 at the end of the movie. It's a straight 5. To me, it's the number 1 Iron Man out there. It's now above the Mark V. And I'll hold the Mark V to the highest esteem. I think that this one's better. And like I said, if you have to sell 1 figure, 2 figures to get it, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would not let this one go. Get it. It's perfect. Well, not perfect, but it's going to get a perfect rating of 5.
It's good enough for a scavenger.
It is. Yeah, I look forward to getting this one set up. I'm still not 100% sure if it's going to be with other Iron Man or in some sort of scene, but it's going to look great no matter what. And I'm going to copy my co-host here. 5 hologram pods for this guy. Highly recommend. And yeah, love it.
All right. Well, I will abstain because I still don't have it in hand. I'm not bitter about that at all. My stupid UPS driver didn't want to deliver to the store today, but you know, it was at least in the same, in the same town.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Get FedEx up in here. You do it right.
I just need to stop ordering from Sideshow.
Yeah.
Don't have that problem with Big Bad Toy Store.
I got my order. We were eating dinner, and Julia was like, "Oh, is that my friend, the UPS guy? Because he drops something off like every other day."
Just nearly spit my water on my monitor here.
I'm like, nothing to see here. Don't worry about it.
Getting all choked up here. At least I can hit the mute button.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, guys. Might be able to keep this to an hour and 30. We'll start doing plug time here. Obviously, we haven't mentioned Kappa yet, so I guess we'll do it. We're an adult collector channel, not geared towards kids. That's what I'll just say about that. So we do have our website. We have our website, 6scalescavengers.com, where we've got our checklists and stuff. We also put links to our different episodes and stuff that are going on. The rest of our podcasts and videos are on YouTube. We got the Scavengers Assemble and Rogue One 6th. We have our TeePublic store. We have our public Facebook page. We're on Instagram. And obviously, if you want the audio version of this, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and 6scalescavengers.libsyn.com if you want to grab that RSS feed and throw it into your podcast catcher of choice, TC.
Yeah, give Collecting Weekly a follow. They got a Facebook group, Collecting Weekly Auxiliary. They've got several shows. Zach Dean, Lead the Charge, Manny. Damian Dillon with Small Talk is one of the other shows. It's a great cast of guys that talk about all things figures, including Hot Toys, but also things like Mezco, Figure Arts, Black Series, basically whatever you want to hear about toys-wise. And they also have the end-of-year figure awards going on right now, so give them a listen.
Oh, yeah. Got my wonderful Collecting Weekly Christmas card with the crew there, having a great time. I think it was at Manny's wedding, and got a cool sticker that they designed. It's in a Mandalorian theme.
Yes,
and look for that. And so yeah, they've got a TeePublic page and stuff. So love the support. just love the chat. We get all kinds of members joining in and stuff like that. We get, Danny, Mark, Mario, PJ, Paradox Nerd. We got Ian. We just got so many
artists formerly known as Scare Bear.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's great having everybody join in. And so next show, I think the schedule is gonna be a little bit less than 2 weeks. Well, we're gonna try to record a couple days before Christmas, and
yeah, the Sunday or Monday. So we'll blast it out there when we're gonna record. So we'll get in one more show before the holiday here stateside, and then obviously after that you will see us in the new year, and we'll hopefully by then I'll hopefully figure out how to do. We're gonna do our similar year-end war. I don't think we're gonna be able to do it as well as Zach and Dean and all those guys are going to be able to do it, but we'll at least try. And I'm looking forward to at least it being better than 2018's, Chris.
I know, right? And then also, I just want to say, everyone that's going to go see The Rise of Skywalker, enjoy. We will try to keep things spoiler free next week, as far as the group goes and the discussions go. But it'll be a great time, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to it.
All right, guys, I think that is going to do it. So, Chris, my friend, bring us home.
Excelsior.